Hello. This is Sam at Straventus Consulting. Today, I'm going to share some information with you about how to start a business. We're going to focus on Oregon, and that's simply because that's where Straventus was founded, and that's where my expertise is. But these instructions will apply to most states, if not all states. The structure and the process is pretty much the same. So let's dive into it. You can also find this article that I wrote. It's on my blog. I'll put it in the description below. And if you need some more granular information, you can follow some of the links that I have in the post. So the first thing you want to do is really understand, how do you want to set up your business? There's different benefits to different business types. You'll most commonly see businesses, or almost exclusively see businesses, as LLCs, corporations, partnerships, or sole proprietorships. There are benefits to each of them. I'll talk to you about what I did when forming Straventus Consulting. So I opted to file as an LLC, and LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. And basically, there's some protections that an LLC gives you versus a sole proprietorship. So when you form an LLC and you're a single member, which means there's just one person or one member that operates and conducts business for the company, you're considered a pass-through entity. And so basically any assets or money or whatever that the business earns and has in its name is separate from your own. So if you get sued by whoever, a company that you're working with, a customer, whatever, you have some protections as being registered as an LLC versus just jumping in as a sole proprietorship. So when you're a sole proprietorship, you share a bank account with your company generally. You are the company, more or less, where when you have the LLC, there's a separation, right? So I'll get into this in a couple steps here, but I have a separate bank account for my LLC, and then I'll draw off of that to pay myself. We'll look at corporations here. This is really for, if your company is going to be big, or, you have a lot of momentum and you're going to raise capital, issue equity, all sorts of stuff. You might consider a corporation. And then partnership, it's really like if you're a small business and you have a partner that you're working with, you might consider a partnership. Again, you could satisfy both sole proprietorship and partnership benefits by forming an LLC and then allocating ownership on the back end, just making sure that's really clear. So those are the basics of the structure. Again, I'm going to focus more on LLC for the purpose of this video, just because that's what I did and that's what I know the best. But again, your decision might be unique. But again, I recommend filing as an LLC. It's $100 to file, and there's just added protections that are not there with a sole proprietorship. The next thing you need to do, pretty self-explanatory, you might have already done this, is to choose a business name, and it's best if it's unique. You may or may not be surprised, but there's a lot of businesses out there and a lot of names that people are drawn to are already taken. In Oregon, there's a great little tool. It's called the Oregon Secretary of State Name Search Tool. We'll click into it here, but basically you can search a name of a company. Let's see, Nike, no affiliation on my part. Yeah, look at that. They have every combination of Nike as an LLC or a corporation. Inc. would be a corporation. But yeah, you want to make sure you can snag the name that you want. And if it's already taken, you don't want to get sued. So you'll want to make a slightly different name, or consider a different name if the one that you want is indeed taken. When I was setting up my business, I wanted to use my name, and it's a very common name, and every combination of it was taken, so I had to be creative. I'll get into that in a moment. But you know, if your name isn't there, what's really popular these days is making your own name, making up a word, especially in consulting, for example. So there's big consulting firms out there. There's one that comes to mind called Accenture. They came up with their own name. They made a new word, Accenture, and it means accent on the future. They smushed it together. It sounded great, and it's a key part of their brand. So you can use things like ChatGPT, Copilot, other tools. Just use your resources and find some words that you like and put them together. You can look at the About Me section on straventusconsulting.com, but for example, Straventus is really just strategy plus Inventus. Inventus means creation in Latin, among a few other things. It's like an offshoot of Inventus. But I like that, coming up with new ideas and just conveying that, hey, we're all about strategy. We're all about making new things. We're making things better, extracting value. So yeah, if that's reflected in your name, or however you want to be seen, that's your brand. That's the first thing people see. So give it some thought. Then you'll want to register your business name. Again, you can do this through the state registry, your Secretary of State. If you're a sole proprietor, you're going to use your DBA if it's something other than your name. So if you're Michael Scott and your company is Paper Inc., you're just going to say, or you wouldn't be an Inc., you just say Paper Company, whatever. That would be your DBA. So DBA is doing business as. LLCs and corporations, you're going to use your company name. Pretty straightforward. So when you're registering your business, again, go to your Secretary of State. For Oregon, it's just sos.oregon.gov. You can Google search for your state. Just please be careful when you're doing these kind of things to make sure that you are getting the official Oregon or your state website. There's a lot of phishing and fake websites out there that are going to try to take advantage of you. So just be careful. And they're, it's very easy to find the correct site, but just make sure that there's the .gov in the URL, in the website address. So you can be a new user to follow your business. You're going to fill out all this information. You're going to make a profile. They're going to ask you lots of questions about who is, who is the primary contact, who has information about your company. So if you're in like a partnership or you already have employees planned, or other folks that have intimate knowledge about your company, you're going to want to list those too. It's really straightforward. Just follow the prompts. If you get stuck, you can reach out to me at straventusconsulting.com on our website, contact us, or just use ChatGPT to ask the questions that you don't know about, or do some research on Google if you're confused about something. But it's really straightforward. They make this stuff so that if you have 30 minutes, even less, and a credit card, you can get through creating your business very quickly. Okay, so in Oregon, when I filed as an LLC, single member, the state provided me with articles of organization. It's just a document that just relays all the information that you gave them, who's the owner, what is the structure, what state. Very, very straightforward. Corporations, that's not my specialty, but I don't know if the state will do that for you. I would encourage you, if you're going that route, to enlist the help of a CPA, the business professional. because corporations get a little bit more complicated and you want to make sure that you're set up correctly. Again, in Oregon, do that both. You can do both of those through the Oregon Business Registry. Okay, so important part about business is so you set up you've registered, you've paid your $100 for your LLC, you've got your articles of organization, the state's giving you the green light. Next thing you're going to want to do is get your EIN. That's your employer identification number. And you got to have this if you want to open a bank account, apply for a credit card, and just conduct business in general. Also, if you work with clients, like if you're a consultant or you provide any kind of services, typically, especially in B2B, business to business, other entities that you work with are going to want a W-9 if they're going to pay you any kind of money. So when I have consulting agreements with my customers, generally the first thing that they'll do after when we're getting ready to sign a contract or they're setting me up as a vendor, contractor, is they'll send me a W-9 request. And it's really simple. You just, as an LLC, single member pass-through entity, I'm just putting in my name. And then line 2 on that form would be business name, the entity name. So that's Straventis Consulting LLC. And then there's a section below where you can put your Social Security or your EIN. Again, the EIN is important. You've set yourself up as an LLC because you want that separation. And so when you're doing those I-9s or providing information to your bank, you want to keep ownership and just that differentiation between you and your business. So hopefully that makes sense. The EIN is kind of like a Social Security for your business. Really easy to do this online. Again, when I looked up, when I did this on Google, there's a lot of fake websites. So again, just make sure when you do your Google search or you click this link, just double check that there's a .gov. Really hate for anybody to get scammed by all these these folks that do phishing attempts. So just be careful, do your research, don't jump into it, just make sure everything's legit. So follow the steps on the IRS website, apply online. It's really easy. Again, they make this so anybody can do this. There's a lot of warnings, restrictions. Make sure you've done this. You can do an application, and then you're just going to fill out your information here. Again, we're going to go through as a limited liability company. And you just click through and follow the information. So if you're like me, you're a single member LLC, fill out your state. We're in Oregon, the beautiful state of Oregon. I'm not going to go through all these steps, but it's very simple. Just follow the steps, go through, get your number. Really important though, and I'll update the blog to show this, but the IRS, when they do, they'll do it all online for your EIN. They'll give you a PDF when you complete the process, but if you don't, that's the only time they're going to give you this number, unless you request it. I think they'll mail it to you to your business address. I haven't gotten mine yet, and it's been over a month. Just make sure that you are saving that PDF, do a screenshot, because you'll need it. You'll need that EIN, and you don't want to wait for that piece of paper to get to you. So a tip there. Let's go to number 6. So you will, depending on where you set up your company, you're going to have state taxes. So in Oregon, we'll have the Oregon Department of Revenue. You also have federal taxes. I'll do another video to talk about what kind of taxes you will expect as a pass-through LLC single member. But generally, in that instance, you are considered if you're a pass-through entity LLC, your taxes go on your personal return. There's nothing separate. As an LLC, you can elect to be taxed as an S corp. The benefit to that is that you get to save some money on self-employment tax, and that's made up of Social Security and Medicare tax that we'll get into in another post and video. But generally, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to elect as an S corp unless you make about 50K or more a year in your business. Then it starts to make sense. I will point out that I am not a CPA. Everything that I'm telling you about taxes is what I have researched and had conversations with other small business owners. So if you are considering changing your tax election or changing how your business is taxed, please, please, please talk to a CPA. Okay, so if you think you're going to have employees or if you're going to file as an S corp, you need to have a business identification number from the state of Oregon. Again, that's super easy to get. I've linked it here in the blog. We'll take a look. But you're basically on the hook for payroll taxes. And so one of the caveats, again, about being LLC taxed as an S corp as a single member or an LLC with employees, you have to have that BIN, and then you're going to have to process your payroll through a third-party payroll system. And that is just, it's a requirement if you're going to have employees or be an S corp. There's nothing you can do about it. You just got to follow the law. Really important thing about taxes as well, you're going to pay your estimated quarterly taxes on your business revenue, or your business profits, really. And when we say quarterly, you can see here by the dates, it's not in line with what we normally have on our calendar quarters. I can't tell you why they do it this way. It's silly, because obviously these time periods, they're not all equal. But that's what you have to do. Obviously, if you have no profits or didn't make very much money, if it's below $400, I believe you don't have to do a quarterly report. But you're writing a check to the IRS for your expected quarterly profits. So that's something that's really important to do. You can have penalties if you don't. They're going to come after you. I should back up though. Like, the government wants you to start business. They want you to stimulate the economy. They want you to hire people or just generate taxable events, which is great. They just want their cut. And I guess another reason that they do these quarterly estimated taxes is because businesses that pay, if you're a W-2 business, if you have employees, you're paying your employees, and then you're on the hook for paying part of that Social Security tax. And so you're expected to pay that. So that's like that regular source of income for the IRS. And so, big picture, they want to make sure that they have a relatively steady flow of tax revenue and not just getting big payments at the end of the year, because that would just complicate things. Again, follow those steps, get your BIN if you're going to go that route. Again, talk to a CPA, see what makes sense for you, what you expect in your annual revenue for your business. The next thing you're going to want to do after you have all that information, you could skip step 6, really, for the BIN if you're a single member pass-through entity. But you're going to want to open a bank account. So you got that EIN. You're going to want to use that to open that bank account. There might be other registration documents that the bank asks for. You might need your ID, your passport, whatever, just so that they can link it to a person. But it's pretty simple. It's not complicated. You know, there's a lot of incentives to starting a business checking account. You know, again, you want to keep your business and personal expenses separate. It's just a lot easier for taxes. If you get sued, they just, you know, they go after your business assets first. They could go after you through something called piercing the corporate veil. We're not going to get into that today, but yeah, there's a lot of good reasons to form your LLC and keep everything separate as much as possible. At Straventis, I use Chase Business Checking really just because I have a personal Chase account. It just makes paying myself really easy. I don't have to transfer between companies. I also have my personal credit cards through Chase. And then I also have a business credit card through Chase. It's called the Ink Cash. Again, that just allows me to keep my credit card business expenses separate from my personal expenses. For personal use, I have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is the lower end of that line of cards. Has a lower monthly payment, or excuse me, annual fee. But the great thing about having cards in the same ecosystems is I can transfer my points from my business card to my personal card, and I can use them for travel, for hotels, gift cards, whatever, just like you would with normal points. So that's why I went with the Ink for business, really, because I'm in the same ecosystem and I can play around with points and really maximize my spending returns. But do what makes the most sense for you. If you do decide to go with Chase, you know, again, please check out my blog. And I have some links set up embedded in the article. You just can click on the link, and there's sign-up bonuses. So you can get a reward. We would both get a reward if you signed up using my link for business checking, personal checking, and then Chase Sapphire. So yeah, if those things are of interest to you and you want to go that route, just you know, do some research first, of course. Make sure that you're choosing the right ecosystem of bank for yourself and for your business. And yeah, if Chase is the right choice for you, you know, please come back to this article, use my links. It will help me grow and support this channel and my blog, and it will also help give you some rewards for using my referral link. One more thing to add about credit cards, the Ink Cash card allows you to have 0% APR for the first year. So if you have a lot of business expenses and you don't have a lot of cash flow yet, which is very typical for new businesses, this is a great card. There's, you know, again, Chase is not the only company that does this kind of thing. There's a lot of companies that want to get you into their ecosystem, their credit cards, and they have these deals. Just make sure that when you do this, you're making those minimum payments. A lot of times they'll extend your minimum payment date for the first one. So like I got the credit card for Straventis back in early October. They're not expecting a payment from me until early December, which is really nice because I'm getting, you know, I have clients that I'm working with, so I have net 30 agreements with them, and so I might not see that cash right away. So this really helps me spread out my money and not worry so much about making those minimum payments. You know, if you get in a pinch, you know, having that link to your personal in the same ecosystem can make, you know, having overdraft protection really nice if you do get into a pinch, because the worst kind of debt you can ever have is called bad debt, right? It's having credit card debt. It is the worst. It's the worst. We can talk about that in another video. Okay, So we're almost done here. Just the last thing you want to keep in mind is keep in compliance. We talked about those quarterly reports, paying that quarterly tax. You don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to pay more to the government than you have to, right? There's a lot of opportunity with the government and the IRS to reduce your taxable income through deductions. So let's not risk that through silly fees. Keep really good records of what you're spending your money on, what it's for. Again, there's a lot of things you can deduct. Meals, you can deduct 50% of your business meals, for example, but you have to have documentation. So, a quick record of, what was the purpose of the meal, who was it with, why did I have it, and as long as you talk about business, you can justify the meal. Just be careful with taxes. You don't want to show a loss every single quarter when you have profits or positive revenue. But again, really use a CPA or consult a CPA or a tax professional when you're considering these deductions. You can't deduct everything. You can deduct a lot of things, and you can make a lot of creative arguments to get those benefits. So final thoughts here. Registering a business, it can seem complex, but it's really not. Just take it in stride, set a plan, set your objectives for each day. That if you say you want to set up your business over a week, just make sure you're hitting these steps and break it down and make it easy. My mom always said, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. So that's really what we're doing here, is breaking down a complex task into easy to follow steps. And then if we get stuck, it's okay to ask for help. That's why I'm here. You can always shoot me a message on my website or reach out to me at info@straventusconsulting.com. Or you can use ChatGPT or consult a tax professional. That's it for today. I hope this video was informative and helps you set up your business. Looking forward to sharing more business insights, tips, and trends with you on the next video.